Almost exactly a year ago, Darryl Ritchings' childhood dreams were about to come true. The young Purton rider had been signed by Swindon through the fast-track draft, and after impressing on his Robins debut at Lakeside, was due to make his Abbey Stadium bow against Coventry on April 3rd, 2014. However, just a lap into his first race at the venue where he'd watched speedway all his life, Ritchings tangled with B's reserve Jason Garrity and was sent hurtling towards the metal turn 1 fence just metres short of the airbag. The swelling Ritchings suffered on his brain left him sedated in Oxford's John Radcliffe Hospital for a fortnight, sparking fears of permanent damage, but after being brought round, the youngster has since gone on to make an astonishing recovery. Remarkably, Darryl is back on the bike and is riding for Coventry Storm in the National League in 2015, with his competitive return coming this Sunday in the British Under-21 semi-final at Mildenhall. Total Sport caught up with the 20-year-old a year on from the crash which could have changed his life forever, to look ahead to his return.
I was training, but it was National League, so I wasn't pushing myself over the top, and Roscoe rung me, and straight away after that phone call I went straight to the gym, and I did a session in there, and I went back that night, and it was like that until the season started.
And then obviously press and practice day, I remember speaking to you there, it all became quite real. You had the suit on, did some laps in a Robins suit, and it's like dreams coming true kind of.
It was a crazy feeling. I can remember you interviewing me, and I can remember saying down on the first turn, as a kid I used to run around pretending I was a speedway rider, and there I was riding for Swindon.
And then all started at Lakeside and all started quite well, if I remember. I think three points, but a lot better than 3.
Yeah, it was. I scored 3 points, but I felt pretty good at Lakeside, and I thought I can progress from that, and it was going to be a great season. But as you know, it didn't work out. And
then a week later, the big moment at the home debut, everything you dreamed of. What was the feeling at home, sort of before that night?
I raced the night before at Kings Lynn, and I got back late, so it wasn't such an early start considering it's 3 miles up the road for me. So I woke up, washed the bikes, just chilled out, and as the day passed, I started to get more nervous, and we drove up to the track, and I think I got to the track at like 6:15. There was no rush. It was my home debut riding for Swindon, so I was nervous, naturally nervous, but yeah, it didn't go to plan.
Last thing, I think you've said a number of times, last thing you remember was in the pits, sort of doing some reaction stuff with your brother.
Yeah, the last thing I remember was just testing my reactions with my brother. He was dropping a spanner, and I was grabbing it, and I remember going on parade, and Poppy was up there for the first time, and I remember waving to her, and that's it. That's the last thing.
And then obviously for everybody else, they remember quite vividly what happened after that. And you have seen it back since.
Yeah, it must have been horrible for my family. I know they stayed up. I went to the Great Western, and they stayed up right through to the following night. And my dad couldn't drive back from Oxford because he was in a state, as they say. But so my brother drove back, and it must have been hard for them. But when I woke up, it was a weird feeling.
What was that like? Because I've had one very, very minor operation in my life, and I remember quite how weird that was coming around after a couple of hours. So it must have been a very odd feeling.
I had some weird dreams. I think I've told people about some weird dreams, and I don't know. I woke up and it was Mum and Dad was there. They was telling I was in a speedy accident, but I remember, I think it was a few days later, they pushed me. I wanted to get out, so they pushed me downstairs in a wheelchair, and I said, "Blimey, this has changed." And Mum said, "You're not in Swindon," and I was like, "Whoa!" And that's when it hit home.
I think you shocked some nurses, didn't you, with how quickly you wanted to get out and how quickly you were scooting yourself around the ward in wheelchairs and things.
Yeah, I can remember sitting in my bed after visiting hours are over, or in the morning, and I was looking around at other patients, and I said to a nurse, "Should I actually be in here? Because it looked horrible." And she said, "You was in a very bad state yourself." And then they gave me a wheelchair, and I was just pushing myself around the wheelchair, and here we are.
And obviously a broken ankle to deal with as well, which was probably the least of your worries given everything else, but a pain as well.
Yeah, it was a pain. I couldn't get around, but in some respects it worked out. It's not good, but it worked out. It slowed me down a bit because I was doing too much and I was getting tired. So with a broken ankle, I'd be sit around and just take each day as it comes. But it's never good to get injured, but it did slow me down.
And how long did it take for you to sort of feel like yourself again, almost?
I don't really know, to be honest. I do still get the effects of. I get tired easy, and you know when I'm tired, my eyes go all crossed and stuff. And but I feel a lot better. I feel fine, really. It's just tiredness. Other than that, I'm fit.
And the decision to get back on the bike again, that came quite quickly, didn't it? After being home and.
I was in. It was quite. The sun was out, and I was in the back garden just chilling. And my brother unloaded the van, and the second bike come out, and which was all fresh. And I looked at it and decided I wanted to race again. Mum and Dad wasn't too keen on that, and especially Mum. But yeah, here we are now.
Because we're not far away. You're up at the Abbey tonight for the Bobkill. You may or may not ride, and then it all starts for real next Sunday, and almost a year on as well. It's almost quite fitting. You're back on the bike a year and a day, I think, after the year and 2 days.
It's gone so fast, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be funny, but and weird feelings. But I'm looking forward to a great season.
And in terms of being on the bike, are you feeling good? It's feeling like you've never been off it.
I'm feeling pretty confident. I spent a lot of money in the bikes, and I'm just really going to push myself so hard this year. Like this morning, I've been on a bike ride. I did 80 miles this morning. I'm feeling good. I just want to train really hard and just go from there. I want to get a few bookings in the Premier, and you never know. Maybe next year I might be reserved again for Swindon. So we'll see what happens.
And I guess you've had a couple of practices, you've done some racing at Coventry, but a real competitive meeting is the first one of the British Under-21 semi. How do you think you're going to feel lining up on the line for your first real race?
I don't think it's going to be much of a change to what sort of meeting it is. It's more the fact of just the surroundings of being in a race. But the first race at Coventry, like I said, was a bit tentative going in the first turn, and after that I felt like I'd never been away, so just progress from that and build on that, and hopefully I can get through to the Under-21 final.